Celina Eden, written by RCJ, the pseudonym of Rob C. Johnson. Chapter 1. Our story begins. Priscilla Ardella snapped her head to the sky. She remembered some miles back when the clouds were once clear. She remembered some miles back birds harmonized in a peaceful tune. A tune that was destined to be shuttered by silence. The sun that once shone became concealed behind thick, dark clouds. The wind ran its invisible hand through her long, strawberry hair and only grew restless as she advanced. Her large green eyes traveled to the billowing clouds above. She hoped the dark reoccurrences would cease, but she knew deep down she couldn't prevent the inevitable. Underneath her cloaked hood, covering her head, she gripped the handles of her daggers around the waist of her blue leather corset, completed with black leather leg guards. A large blade, in what she called glam, dangled from her back, resting inside its sheath. Her bare feet brushed past the blazed grass, feeling them prickle her toes. Priscilla's stature was very short. She was a little girl. Her eyes narrowed once she realized the winds were restless. Going through phases, the skies darkened as if a thunderstorm would threaten the peace brought about the clear, sunny skies. And if that were the case, she'd have to take shelter. Liliana, goddess of the heavens, was responsible for the weather patterns. A familiar feeling of dread made her question if Liliana was responsible for that feeling of dread. She might have resented Liliana, but she doubted Liliana and dread fit together in the same sentence. She noticed a nearby town within the distance. It looked to be her next destination for the time being. Nania, I'm here. Don't leave me. Nania, please. The woman's voice had taken resonance inside her mind. Priscilla ran towards a town of screams. The little girl darted to the mirror and shouting. She felt as if she had to investigate the origin of the madness. A wooden fence stood just an inch above her height. She had to back up to give herself momentum before taking a sprinting jump over the fence, landing on her feet with one bended knee. The screams grew louder. The sky was a canvas painting. Eventually, the brushstrokes of blacks and grays contrasted to charcoal red. People ran around like animals in a stampede of confusion, bumping into her, almost knocking her over. It wouldn't take long to see what had transpired. People were running around in a bloodthirsty rage. Some were fighting each other with rakes, sticks. Women used rolling pins and whatever object that passed as a weapon. A farmer held a garden rake over his head, ready to plunge it into a screaming little boy. Priscilla quickly drew glam from his sheath, using it to intercept the rake that intended the target. She checked to see if he was unharmed. Not a visible blemish revealed on him. Child, leave here. He scrambled off in fear. Once he was out of sight, her sight set on the boy's attacker. He was old and filled to the brim with anger. His eyes looked at me in strange yellow. It was as if he were possessed by an evil spirit. She bought her fist tightly. She used her small legs to catapult up to him. The surprising strength of Priscilla tackled him to the ground. She made her way to his face, pulled her fist back, and plowed it as hard as she could into his face, knocking him out. I'm sorry, the red moon taints your mind. She eventually looked around to see she was soon surrounded by women, children, and men with the same glowing yellow eyes. Each one of them carried pitchforks, rolling pins, rakes, and knives. Priscilla watched them all intently, not to become caught off guard. She jumped back up to her feet, grounding herself. I'm not going to slay innocents, but I will fight you back if need be. She poised, ready to fight, balling up both of her fists. Suddenly, a fog spewed out around her. The reality surrounding her twisted into a dark nothingness, forcing her mouth wide open in awe. What's happening? Stopping her, just inches in front of her, was the body shape of a woman. It was a silhouette, void of any features or detail. I've come back for you. The female voice was warped and hard to make out. What? Who are you? Please come home with me, Nania. Please come back with me. Are you the one causing this to happen? Show yourself, Priscilla demanded. The ominous figure stood there, unmoving, with multiple pairs of glowing eyes engraved in the surrounding thick fog. Come, come, come. Priscilla charged at the female figure, swiping her sword at it, but her efforts were for naught as she swiped at nothing but air. A wide-eyed surprised look filled her face. What? She backed away from it. The villagers began to close in on her. Priscilla fought off every one of them, making sure she didn't hurt anyone, getting sharp stabs and cuts in the process. That's when Glam glowed brightly at the hill. Priscilla's eyes turned to slits as the light became blinding. My child, how long must one flail through the darkness when all one must do is reach for the light? A woman's voice came, made of smooth silk and warming comfort. It was a comfort that put Priscilla at ease. Who is that? I'm your guide, and this is your endless journey. The blinding light from Glam intensified. Ah! Priscilla screamed. Everything turned white in a blinding flash. Nania, this is your story. That's when the light engulfed everything in its path.